This Workforce Discovery app has critical HR event data loaded from the Oracle HR Analytics product. These are events such as hiring, promotions, terminations, and so on. To this dataset, we also add annual employee survey responses, raw text comments outlining employee and manager opinions on their job role and overall performance. This is a blend of structured and unstructured data, and we will use it all for our investigation. Now the interface looks nice and neat, but behind this is a messy web of connections across many diverse sources. So how would an HR executive use this? Well, let's say we've heard a rumor about high levels of voluntary termination amongst our top performing employees. But that's all we really know. The cause could be many different things: better opportunities elsewhere, dissatisfaction with certain managers, or misaligned levels of compensation, anything. Well, on our survey analytics page, we start with a simple search for turnover. And what we're saying is, give me everything that mentions turnover or thesaurus terms such as attrition, resignation, termination, and so on, anywhere in the data. Now look what Endeca Information Discovery does for us. Everything in the UI is dynamically updated. The survey summary metrics have all recalculated in the moment. The tag clouds show the most common known and discovered themes that appear in the annual survey comments, and only those related to turnover. The survey responses returned are sorted by most relevant, but could be resorted by any other attributes, such as the sentiment scores of the individual responses. And the guided navigation down the left includes only the time periods, supervisors, and other organizational dimensions relevant to my initial search. Everything has updated, and everything is relevant to my investigation. Notice how the various supervisor functions have changed order. Prior to my initial search, consulting had the highest number of survey responses, but after the search, I see sales is now top of the list for responses related only to turnover. This is a good example of a typical discovery that is made as we interact with the data. We now further restrict our investigation to only those survey responses from employees in the United States. And add to that only those that are deemed to contain negative sentiment in the response text. This is based on the frequency of terms such as dislike, cut in pay, not satisfied, and so on. Again, since everything is dynamic, Endeca now shows us all the supervisors associated with these negative comments. Let's select them all so we can take some real action. We can also remove our original search term and look across a wider range of survey responses to see other interesting negative themes associated with this particular group of individuals. So we have found a population of supervisors we are interested in, and now we want to analyze their HR performance to decide how to deal with them. We switch to the HR Analytics tab and find metrics for our selected supervisors on terminations, career changes, at-risk employees, and compensation. Now we want to understand how these supervisors have performed in terms of voluntary termination within their teams. So we simply click on voluntary termination. Every chart on the screen is not only an aggregation of data, it's also a way to query the data. I noticed that the sales function has the highest level of voluntary terminations. If I click on sales in the chart, and then change my perspective to compare supervisor names. I noticed that two particular supervisors, Veronica Harris and Tristan Holst, account for the vast majority of historical voluntary terminations. In fact, if I remove voluntary terminations from my query, I can see the same two supervisors are associated with the most terminations in general, both voluntary and involuntary. Well, historical analysis is one thing, but what about preventing more terminations in the future? To understand this, I switched to my At-Risk Employee Analysis tab. And look, the same two supervisors have the vast majority of employees deemed to be at risk of leaving the organization. So this is where I should concentrate my efforts, on two specific supervisors out of almost 900, discovered with a basic search and a few simple clicks.